Now, there's a lot we could say about Matthew's genealogy. It's far more important than we first might think. But let me just point out two things. First, Matthew is intentionally tying his story of Jesus into the whole story of the Bible. Our translations, when it says this is the genealogy, that's a good translation, but in English, they miss the play on words that Matthew is actually providing. Matthew writes in Greek, biblos geneseos, that is, the book of Genesis. He is using a double entendre here, where this phrase does introduce the genealogy, but it's also the Greek title of the very book of Genesis. It's an intentional double meaning. And this is our first clue that there's more to this genealogy than meets the eye. But let's also think about genealogies in the Bible. The opening of the Bible, Genesis, is an origin story. It's really the ultimate origin story of creation itself. And we see a lot of genealogies there. We see a lot of explanations of who everyone was and where they came from. In fact, the first part of Genesis concludes with chapter 11. And what's there? A long genealogical explanation of all the peoples of the world. This is the setup for the beginning of the story of Abraham that starts in chapter 12. And when you go to the end of the Bible, we also see that genealogy is very heavy. In the Hebrew Old Testament, the books are ordered differently than they are in our English Bible, and the last book of the Hebrew Bible is Chronicles, what we call together 1st and 2nd Chronicles. If you turn to Chronicles, the last book of the Hebrew Bible, you'll see that it begins with several long chapters of, guess what? Genealogy for the post-exile Jews so that they could figure out who was who, so that they could reestablish their society after being in exile in Babylon. So, in both the beginning and the end of the Old Testament, genealogies proved to be very, very important. And so by starting his story with a genealogy of Jesus, and notice that he ties it both to Abraham and to the exile, Matthew is signaling that what he is about to tell us is not from outer space and isn't some random thing. We are about to be given the final origin story, the answer to what God has been up to the whole time. And the story Matthew is telling flows right from all that God has been doing way back since Genesis.